and we will intend to hold you accountable for your actions.
Rack show, racks on, make them spend the tax. I come from the trenches, man, it's just so treacherous. 30 shots extended, burgers at my medicine, my young boy stand on business.
But her neck is, bought a car, it wasn't fast enough. But this cat is, and it's all black. Bitch, I'm flying like I'm Fresh-Man.
So the rolling on. I just booted up, I'm having Oreo. Boot up. But that's another story though. I'm trying to slide some straight chill, so
I'm on some big dog shit. Leave them little niggas alone, come suck a big dog dick. See this roll, it cost me 40, that's a big dog risk. Yeah, bitch, I'm the boss, I'm on my Rick Ross.
Many of you have problems finding clothes, but if you look in the description box for the information, you can find information for Top Notch clothing brand. Top Notch MME is a high-end streetwear brand for men and women with a top-notch sense of style. And look guys, I wear it. I just bought my own clothing and they're top notch for real. Look, they're not just a top notch brand, they're a way of life. Go get your own very own top notch brand clothing.
Thought it was what? Hey CJ, what? Move your hand. Big who?
Big clout.
Big motherfucking clout in the gate, baby.
I just got in touch with FBG Duck's mother. Now, FBG Duck mother, rest in peace to FBG. She told me a lot about the situation that's going on in Chicago with FBG Duck and many other gangbangers in Chicago. She talked about a lot of things like how in a month they raided her her house. They kept harassing her due to a lot of things, yet not explaining the murder. The mayor calling her son a gangbanger. He's not a gangbanger. He doesn't even have a criminal record, adult record. There seems to be a growing beef between hostilities of Chicago police and Chicago gangbangers. I'm about to let you guys hear what Mayor Lori Lightfoot had to say about FBG Duck.
Bitch, I got the juice. Why you leave that? Bitch, I'm off a
The fact that a city official, a public figure such as Mayor Lightfoot can say what she said, knowing and giving her connection to another rapper that's the rival of Carlton Weekly. Well, let's explain first who's Carlton Weekly. FBG Duck's mother also stated to me in the DMs that Duck doesn't even have a adult record. So why would Mayor Lori Lightfoot say these things? Now I want you guys to listen to Duck.
Yes, sir. What I want to say, for all you silly ass niggas that's killing all these innocent babies because y'all want to catch a nigga that y'all think y'all in tour with, or however the motherfucking situation might go, you feel me? Look, I got 4 kids. You see what I'm saying? I got 3 boys, 1 girl. You know what I'm saying? If I catch a nigga with his daughter, I'm gonna give him a pass. That's just the heart of me, because I don't want no nigga to catch me.
What we wanted to know was, why did the mayor target Duck and assassinated his character? I think the second half of this 2020 Vision interview, Duck is gonna explain well why the city was against him.
4 kids. You see what I'm saying? I got 3 boys, 1 girl. You know what I'm saying? If I catch a nigga with his daughter, I'm gonna give him a pass. That's just the heart of me, because I don't want no nigga to catch me with one of my kids and try to take me in front of my kids. You see what I'm saying? So I give a nigga a pass like that, but you silly ass niggas need to stop getting these guns, doing all this extra shit that y'all doing. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all ain't doing it right. Y'all not even hitting y'all target. You know what I'm saying? It's already that y'all, it's fucked up that we out here killing each other as black people. You know what I'm saying? We should be sticking together, but they want to gang bang forever, don't want to do nothing with their life. I pray to God that y'all stay safe out here.
Now, the mayor's words about Carlton Weekly are disgusting and disturbing simply for the fact that she has aligned herself with no other than Little Durk himself. Now, many of you guys know who Little Durk is. If you don't know who he is, his connection with Chicago rap star Little Durk went far for a very long time. Now, the mayor claims that FBG Duck Carlton Weekly was a gangbanger and a thug with no merits. He has no criminal records, and there's no other proof other than music, a free form of your First Amendment rights to speak with free speech. Now, the problem with the mayor is that Durk has been giving her funds through her campaign for years. And here's the startling part. That picture I showed you guys was taken all the way in April. So why didn't she call Durk a thug? Did Mayor Lori Lightfoot forget about helping Atlanta, Georgia Police Department with the King Von and Little Durk case?
Case against a rapper accused in a shooting outside of the Varsity will move forward. Today, Little Durk appeared in court where a judge ruled there was enough evidence for him to go to trial. Channel 2's anchor.
I know, right? We caught her in a lie, but there's more.
On Friday, detectives from Atlanta and Chicago testified in the criminal case against rapper Lil Durk in Fulton County Court. They say around 5 in the morning on February 5th, Lil Durk, whose real name is Durk Derek Banks, and his co-defendant Devontae Bennett were seen on camera involved in shooting Alexander Witherspoon, a person police say they knew.
They were hanging out. They went to a studio to make music.
The rapper and Bennett listened to the evidence against them in court. Police told the judge later that night the victim, Banks, Bennett, and others went to a nightclub, a gas station, and ended up in the parking lot of the Varsity. That's when Witherspoon said he was robbed and shot.
He said his chain was snatched off his neck, and he had $30,000 stolen from him, and they stole the vehicle he was driving.
Police say Banks was seen on tape shooting a gun.
You see Mr. Banks' arm out the window firing several shots at the victim, towards the victim.
Remember, I was broke as fuck. Now my check big, bitches still let me fuck with.
Now, some other people might dismiss what I say and this is clout chasing, is not true. But how about if I show you this part of the video where employees for Mayor Lightfoot testify in court he's a gang member. And not just a gangbanger, they're also using the employees of Chicago to fly all the way to Atlanta, Georgia to give convincing evidence that Durk is a hazard and a gangbanger.
An aggravated assault.
Banks released a single "Turn Myself In" the day he turned himself in. It's gotten almost 7 million views. The prosecutor charging this wasn't just a robbery and shooting, but gang activity. She put a Chicago detective on the stand to testify that Banks and Bennett are members of Chicago gangs.
Is it possible to continue your affiliation and even commit crimes when you move out of Chicago if you're in a different city or if a different area?
Yes, ma'am. I keep hurting myself when I'm gone. I like smoking woods because they slow burn. They say when it rains, it pours.
Now,
and tonight, a disturbing pattern continues as more families are accusing Chicago police of bad raids.
Chicago police search warrant!
Busting in homes and drawing weapons on innocent families.
How many of you had guns pointed at you?
Including Jolanda Blassingame's family.
And I felt scared for my life.
Her boys were playing.
FBG Duck mother sent me a DM about how a month ago they raided her house illegally and did a whole lot. Let's listen about Chicago raids.
Police failing to investigate. The suspect hadn't lived in the building for 5 years. In the Peter Mendez raid, officers were caught whispering in another room, saying they are in the wrong apartment.
He gave us the wrong apartment.
But that didn't stop them from still searching. They even searched Peter's school backpack, which left him devastated. They really hurt him that day.
Dave.
Mayor Lori Lightfoot says these wrong raids have to stop immediately.
We can't have this.
And now is reacting to our 10-month CBS 2 investigation, exposing case after case of bad Chicago police raids happening at the homes of innocent people across the city.
Mayor, we've now had...
Actually, after the raids and Miss Lori Lightfoot claimed they're gonna wreak havoc and take care of it, she put a certain lame duck chief to take care of it, and that chief is now fired. But let's watch the video of what they're gonna do to clean up.
5 to 7 are involved. They're all members of the Area Central Gang Unit. Sources tell us the FBI conducted at least 3 sting operations in the past year. The officers allegedly took money and drugs from a drug dealer. Sources also say the incidents were captured on surveillance and federal search warrants were carried out on the officers' homes. CBS 2 legal analyst Irv Miller spoke to us via FaceTime.
If there were search warrants, they're looking for some proceeds, cash laying around.
On one occasion, sources say the team of tactical officers took nearly $20,000 from a drug dealer.
What they're probably...
I know you're thinking, corruption in the city? I thought Mrs. Lori Lightfoot cleaned up the city. Well, she did. She hired this gentleman over here, and guess what she did to this dude after cleaning him up? That's right, after hiring this dude, she fired him.
This morning, Chicago's top cop is out of a job and questions are swirling about what led to Eddie Johnson's firing.
Eddie Johnson engaged in conduct that is not only unbecoming, but demonstrated a series of ethical lapses and flawed decision-making that is inconsistent with having the privilege of leading the Chicago.
Now, after the mayor fired the police chief, a lot of things came out about what was he doing to get fired. He claimed he took medicine, he was sleeping, but proof had came out that he was doing things with gang members. That's right, Top Cop was in business with gangbangers. That's right.
At the time, he blamed the incident on a problem with his medication.
It's painful to admit this, but when he adjusted my medication, I took the old medication out for high blood pressure, but I failed to put the new
Dismissed after the mayor reviewed the city's Inspector General's report and video evidence related to the night he was found in his car.
Eddie Johnson intentionally lied to me several times. Even when I challenged him about the narrative that he shared with me, he maintained that he was telling the truth. I now know definitively that he was not.
Mayor Lightfoot would not specify what those alleged lies were, saying revealing them would not be fair to Johnson.
To work. And now this. I want to give my sincere thanks to the men and women of our police department for their professionalism throughout these very difficult times, not just last night.
Now, I want to know, how can this mayor speak about professionalism and with police when Chicago Police Department, like many other police departments, have a string of corruption? Now, I know what y'all thinking, man, this mayor is corrupted. Look, she's not the first. In fact, Chicago has a long, lengthy history of famous mayors being arrested for corruption. Now, there's been a long line of corruption going on in Chicago, as I just said, but look at all these political campaign criminals, I call them, and the famous ones of all are these top four. As you're seeing a lot of them, such as the George Ryans of the world. They all fall in line of the politician herself, Mayor Lightfoot. Mayor Lightfoot is only in this for the agendas. Now, there's so many allegations and proof that her policies have hurt family members in Chicago. They've given weapons away to people in Chicago. Not allegedly, this has been proven already. People in her campaigns have been getting funds from gang members and people affiliated with some of the members of the GDs, BDs, allegedly, and basically gang members affiliation. And she stayed quiet and remained quiet because of several news and cases like this that have made breaking waves.
In Chicago today, the agency that investigates police misconduct released videos and audio recordings from more than 100 violent encounters with police. Dean Reynolds tells us it's a step toward reforming a department.
These videos were officially released online along with information involving 98 other serious police incidents. An unprecedented attempt at transparency to root out cop misconduct and restore public confidence.
Nobody tell me where I can't go. I'm not on parole. Everybody around me know that my pocket's swole, and we back to celebrate like we just won the Super Bowl.
Now, we just heard from the reports that the department is corrupted. So one would have to ask, did they find any fault in the EMT's police when FBG Duck died? And no resuscitation and no pressure was put on his wounds, no life-saving measures were given to him. Now, will they find violence and misconduct
by the authority yet?
You almost never find the police were guilty of misconduct. Is that not true?
That has been the history of the agency. I'm not sure that's the case going forward.
From now on, she said, relevant videos will be released 60 to 90 days after the incident. The notorious Daquan McDonald shooting by a white cop in 2014 came out 400 days after his death.
No justice, no peace.
Caused widespread protests and was the trigger for this new, more transparent policy. Craig.
And don't worry about your son, cause these niggas don't put fear in me. I let my soul burn.
Now, you gotta ask, why were they raiding FBG Duck mother house? Why were they raiding him a month within his death? That has to ask you, what are the collusions that are going on? What behind the scenes that we all don't know? Now, we're going to show you more details about why the Chicago police love doing these raids, why the corruption is deep, and why people are trying to kill them.
Well, the top prosecutor in Illinois is trying to turn the page from a dark period in Chicago police history. It's believed that one bad cop preyed on innocent residents of a housing project, rounding up dozens of people on bogus charges.
Now, what we're about to show you is the worst scandal been going on with these raids in Chicago history under the guidance of Miss Lightfoot.
An empty lot now marks the spot of one of the worst Chicago police scandals in history. Once the Ida B. Wells housing project, it was where a group of corrupt Chicago cops preyed almost risk-free on residents for most of a decade. Sergeant Ronald Watts was the ringleader. Residents accused him and his squad of extortion, filing false police reports, planting evidence, and assault.
If you didn't cooperate with him, you was going down. You was against him. You was against his operation and his way of getting money.
I was terrified. I was trying to get away, get out that neighborhood. I had nowhere to go.
Willie Martin and Cleon Glover are two of 42 wrongly convicted people exonerated so far by state's attorney Kim Fox.
We have to admit when things have gone wrong and actively work.
That somebody spoke at home and you stood there. Little folks out here bugging. Brody said he got the long like fucking. Rossi poppin', side strip shopping.
Now, it's clear as day, city officials and public servants, i.e. police, are picking their favorites. They're using informants to rob each other. They're using and exploiting certain rappers. So is it fair to say FBG Duck did not let the police extort him? These are the biggest gang members in the United States of America besides our military force, and that's the police department. It's clear as day FBG Duck was set up, and here is these activities.
This is a copy of the grand jury indictment released by the feds. In it, it says that Sergeant Xavier Elizondo and Officer David Salgado, both with the Chicago Police Department, they were assigned to 10th District Gang Team. They're accused of basically shaking down drug dealers, mainly on the west side of the city, for drugs and money, and then using that for their own personal profit. They're also accused of feeding information to people so they could pose as informants in order to get what are called JDOE search warrants, which would give them the authority, using the power of their office, to search residences and vehicles for certain things. And so they would have these people lie basically to judges, get the search warrants, and then search these premises, seizing drugs and property, and then they would use that money to pay the informants, and in some cases they would just keep it for their own personal use, is what the allegations are. Superintendent Johnson found these allegations to be so damning that he took the opportunity today to address hundreds of recruits at the police academy, and he said that the allegations were just a disgrace to him and the entire department. And he said if they are proven to be true in court, he wants his badges back from these officers. At this time, we reached out to the feds. They said that the arraignment for these officers has not yet been scheduled, but that should happen shortly, and sources are telling us that more charges could come down in this case.
I can't call on other people when I need some help. They don't care about me for real, so why the fuck should I care? I done had my heart stepped on too many times. I was letting people fill my head with
Cops extorting young dudes and lying on them is nothing brand new, but when we're calling FBG Duck Carlton Weekly a thug, what do we call those public officials we're supposed to serve and protect? I'm about to show you another famous clip from one of the most disparaging evidence you can use in one of the officers in Chicago.
The statute of limitations on that torture and abuse has long since passed, but former Police Commander Burge also filed lies, submitted lies, some under oath, in a federal civil rights lawsuit in 2003. And for his lies about this torture and abuse, we intend to hold him in police custody. Make no mistake about it, the people in police custody that were abused and tortured were suspected of awful crimes. Make no mistake, some of them may have been guilty of awful crimes, but that is no excuse. Torture and abuse have no place in the Chicago police station.
Little nigga, but I keep big gun. Run it up in a bit 6 months. Over RP smoking pink run. He playing crazy, he ain't tough, he drunk. Don't pick your man's up, nigga, he slumped. And I fought with a couple more still.
As the superintendent last night and this morning, of course, is deeply painful for every Chicagoan. As the superintendent said, this was an assault on our city. I
mean, this mayor is unbelievable. She says what she says about protecting the city. She has these rants and speeches judging FBG Duck, who we know as Carlton Weekly. That's right, he was a civilian that day in Gold Coast. No more should have he been called a thug nor a criminal. But what about this officer over here who's been charged?
That publicly in 2013 when this one ended up first coming out. And I don't know if the CI is the one involved, if the confidential informant is the issue, or if there's other evidence that was deemed not worthy of being brought in against one or more of the defendants. What concerned me is that you've got a prosecution that's going on for 5 years. The prosecution has been very high profile, and you've got current evidence that's being used against all 3 defendants.
Straight to tell bitch that I'm on some big dog shit. Leave them little niggas alone, come suck a big dog dick. See this roll, it cost me 40, that's a big dog risk. Yeah, bitch, I'm the boss, I'm
Well, that police officer was no more than Mrs. Lightfoot's best friend. That's right, one of her friends committing crime. I mean, we're very familiar with the situation, being that she's friends with Durk and knew Durk for a while now, even though he's charged with murders. The fact that Durk is charged with murders and you have this mayor not saying anything with it, even if they're alleged murders, attempted murders, but she disparaged Carlton Weekly's name, and it's seeming to make sense. While a few years ago a couple of gangbangers were busting back, and it's been a long problem in Chicago where gang members are now retaliating for the officials who have failed them. What if I show you guys a clip about police being hunted down by gangbangers?
Which is depressing in the extreme. Cops in Chicago, they're on high alert. Gang members there may be teaming up to kill police officers.
Yeah, very disturbing story. Leaders from 3 major gangs in Chicago reportedly met last week. They're discussing plans, as you say, Stuart, to kill a police officer. This following the shooting death of an 18-year-old man who was shot by police after he allegedly stole a car. Apparently, the gangs are accumulating guns, and they've set up what they call a sniper point. Now, officers, the Chicago cops say they are on high alert. They have not found a so-called sniper point, but certainly they are very concerned, as you can imagine, because these gangs are normally shooting each other. They allegedly are getting together to kill police officers, essentially, is what they're aiming at.
What an extraordinary story.
Very sad state of affairs.
Extraordinary story. But thank you for bringing it together.
She want good with relationships, but her neck is. Bought a car, it wasn't fast enough, but this cat is, and it's all black. Bitch, I'm flying like I'm Batman.
And security of their property and in their employees. And our police officers deserve to be able to do their job without having to worry about shots being fired, being projectiles being thrown, and being maced.
Now the mayor is talking about not shooting at officers. You shouldn't shoot at anybody. How about that, mayor? You didn't provide help for Duck. You made Duck look as if the death was needed to happen, and that makes me suggest, when FBG mother says what she says and all these bloggers are mad at her, now that you guys been watching this video for almost 30 minutes, is it fair to say that these people are complicit in the death of innocent people? That's right, innocent. That's right, unless if you have proof Duck is guilty of something, quit calling him a gang member. But we do know your police officers are guilty. So let's hear what FBG Duck mother, the beautiful lady, that she had to say about. We know him as FBG Duck. His mom know him as Carlton Weekly. Yes, that's her baby boy and her joy. He should have been given the same benefits as any citizens in United States of America in Illinois of Chicago. Check out these raids that they did in 2008. And also now that shows proof the mayor has lost the city.
CPD gave us information on just 2,708 search warrants since 2016. Yet we've uncovered there were more than 11,000 CPD warrants signed off on by the Cook County State's Attorney's Office during that time frame. So why isn't CPD releasing the other 8,000 plus warrants? They refuse to explain.
You raise the question of FOIA. I'm all about it. I don't want people to have to hire lawyers, sue the city to get access to basic information.
The 2,708 search warrant records CPD did turn over raises yet another question. They showed just 42 arrests. That means more than 98% of the time, no one was arrested.
That's right, Mayor Lightfoot. You seem to just talk a lot of crap out your butt. You don't make sense. You're just giving us gibberish. And a lot of you guys are probably thinking, oh, these raids been fixed. I just told you on Sunday they illegally searched the house of FBG Duck's mother and didn't find anything. Now they're still doing it. That's right. Just 2 days ago, they did it again. Shit.
Is actively working with the affected family as well as the city of Chicago to repair a door that was damaged during the incident. The Franklins worry less about the door and more about the long-term damage.
They came in, they pointed the guns on me, my husband, my daughter, my 12-year-old son was in the bed asleep in the back room. They went into his room where he was with the guns over him.
Talk to me with respect. We telling you we don't know what you're talking about, but yet and still you bust the doors open.
We're violated. We don't know if we should feel safe anymore. We have our kids here. We emotional distress, anxiety, all type of things.
That ass way too fat. If them bitches call you ugly, they just ass. Oh, Kevin, get go ahead, girl, get that.
I mean, to see the egregious level of misconduct, incompetence for this lady's employees. She didn't fire nobody but one person who's going to retire 3 weeks anyways, so she can assume and seem like she did something. This lady is the same lady who has said she has given the city a chance to be protected.
A neighborhood protection plan as the superintendent, petty theft to feed themselves and their families. This was straight up felony criminal conduct. We have activated a neighborhood protection plan, as the superintendent alluded to, which involves city agencies like Streets and Sand, CDOT, Aviation, working coordination with the Chicago Police Department.
Look, the message I have for all you guys are, we can judge everybody if we want to. Since a little kid, we were told not to judge a book by its cover. But we're the first people that think we have x-ray visions, and we always judge the book by its cover. Now, I want you bloggers to understand, just because you see FBG Duck talk about certain things and you think you know certain things, if you've never seen him kill anybody or do anything, I don't care if he said he's in a gang, you've never seen him do things to show you proof he conducted himself in a criminal manner, quit saying it. Especially if you are the mayor of a city. I understand folks like me and you all, but you're the mayor of the city. Do your job and protect the people. Look, I'm your guy, Bless Horn. Love your family, love your kids, and stay blessed. Hit that like button, y'all. This is a shame.
My medicine, my young boy stand on business. He pull up wearing shit, he just playing shit. He on that savage shit, fell in love with digits. This shit on the floor, run up on me, hit him. His dreads on the floor, I hope it ain't your bitch.